Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we'll read from Bhagavad-gita as it is, Prabhupada. Text chapter 18, text 73. The chapter is called Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. Tæller højt, eller kan I let høre? Arjuna vacha nastu moha smiti laptva tvat prasadan mayachchuta stitusmi kata sandeha karisheva tavang tava. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The constitutional position of a living entity represented by Arjuna is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes the liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He either has to serve the illusory Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusory external entity, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires, to the Supreme Lord. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya to trap the living entity is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how would he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is an eternal servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul illusioned by the external entity of matter does not know that the Supreme Lord is the Master who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires can be bestowed upon his devotee. He is the friend of everyone, and he is especially inclined to his devotees. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of inexhaustible time, and he is full of all opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad-gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad-gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shri Gurum Dirtaranam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhaivacha Patithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasavi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are about Arjuna. Arjuna is becoming free from all doubts. And it's a quite an interesting topic in the Bhagavad-gita that Arjuna is sort of like going through an evolution in his consciousness, in his Krishna consciousness. In the beginning, in chapter 1, Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. He's saying, why should we fight with all these people, Krishna? They are our superiors, they are our grandfather, our brothers, our sons, our uncles. So how can we fight with them? And if he says we will incur sinful reactions, we'll get bad karma for this, Krishna. Very good arguments. And he has doubts. Why should we do this? And he says we will destroy the whole family's tradition. So many men will be killed and there will be no one to look after their wives. And then there will be no one to raise their sons. And then there will be Vanasankara, there will be unwanted population, as we see it in the world today. So Arjuna is giving very good reasons, sinful reactions, saying indecision, why should we fight? Duryodhana, the evil king, to become king, is doing a very good job. He's very, very intelligent, he's a very good politician. He's evil, but he's a very good politician. Much better than today. Today they're evil and not very good politicians. So he says, why should we fight Krishna? So he's doubting because as we hear here Krishna, he wants him to fight. How can we use this in our lives? What is our fights? What is the fights we meet every day? Anyone can mention any?
Sleeping too much.
Sleeping too much. We want to sleep less, get up early in the morning and chant Hare Krishna, and the mind can tell us, no, don't. Sleep a little longer.
Overeating.
Overeating. Yeah. Prabhupada said that it's still good.
If it's prasadam.
One devotee asked Prabhupada, I'm eating too much. And Prabhupada said, it's not very good, but it's still good. As long as it's prasadam. And actually in the beginning you should eat up to the kunta, up to this one. Because prasadam is so purified. So it's purified the whole existence. But all these are daily fights. We have daily fights. Sometimes we become conquered by lust or by anger or by illusion. How often do we forget Krishna in our daily life? And how nice would it be to have this constant, like Queen Kunti is praying, like the rivers are going to the ocean, right? Constant flow towards Krishna, constant being Krishna consciousness. Then all our material desires will disappear in a second, if we are simply capable of doing that. But we have a mind, and the mind tells us, no, you can enjoy it. You can enjoy separately from Krishna. And sometimes you get a little enjoyment, but that enjoyment, that always, without a doubt and without any circumstance or change, that enjoyment will turn into the opposite, suffering. That's the nature of enjoying the material world. So Arjuna is having all these doubts, and we also have all these doubts and these daily fights we have to fight. But we are sometimes doubting Krishna. And I think everyone in this room will say that I know Krishna, at least to some degree. Right? I know Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone would disagree with that? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone agrees. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But have we really understood how Krishna is the Supreme Lord? Prabhupada used to say, everybody says God is great. But nobody understands how God is great. So that is the whole difference. So in the beginning, Arjuna knows Krishna is God. He knows. Arjuna knows, but still he has all these doubts. Why should we do this, Krishna? I don't think so. And that's the whole first chapter. Arjuna is just setting obstacles against Krishna's desire. Krishna had told him very, very easily, I want you to fight, Arjuna. You should be my instrument. You should fight. We need this war to get rid of all the evil people in the world. So is war good or bad? Depends. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary to fight. And sometimes people will say, well, I'm a pacifist, I will never fight. But let's say you're walking somewhere in the dark and some gang comes and they want to rape your wife and beat you up. Will you just stand there and say, I'm a pacifist, or will you try to defend yourself? So naturally we have that tendency, we want to defend ourselves, and that's Shastris also. So Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. So has he really understood Krishna as God? Yes, he understands Krishna as God, but he hasn't understood really how Krishna is God. And also, if we understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how would we act? Every minute of our day, we would be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Ahangsa vasya prabhu mata sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Krishna says in the 10th chapter, and he says, Ahangsa vasya prabhu, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Mata sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. One who knows me like this and understands this, what does Buddha Yoga Vasanam? He engages his full intelligence. If he's intelligent, he engages fully in Krishna consciousness. So that's the difference. Are we engaging sometimes in Krishna consciousness and a lot of the time in Maya? Once a disciple asked Prabhupada, said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, normally I'm Krishna conscious, but sometimes I'm in Maya. And Prabhupada said, no. Sometimes, normally you're in Maya, and sometimes you're in Krishna consciousness. So that's the whole difference. If we really understand how God is great, there's nothing else in existence. We will dedicate everything to that personality. So Arjuna, he hears from Krishna, and in the 2nd chapter, Krishna starts arguing with Arjuna, telling Arjuna. And then Arjuna says in the 7th verse, Kapanya doso pata svabhava prishjamitam dharma samuta tita yat shreyasham nishtitan bruhitan me sishatyam sari mantam prapanam. Kapanya doso, Krishna, I'm completely in miserable illusion. I'm illusion. Kapanya doso, and I'm full of faults. Dosha. Kapanya doso pata svabhava, my whole existence is like this. Shijami kapanya doso patas prischami tram dharma samuta chittaha, and I'm completely bewildered in the mind. So now I'm sishyastham sari mam tram papanam sishya. Now I want to become your disciple, Krishna. Arjuna says, sishyastham sari mam tram papanam. I want to surrender unto you because now I understand your God. I thought I understood before, but now I understood. After what you just told me, now I understand you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sishyastham sarimam tam tasmat and now I'm ready to follow your instruction. What is the last line? Vanya doso patasva bhavat sichamitam dharma samutatitam. Staya samnishtitam bhutam. Sishyastam sarimam trampapana. Yes, now I'm your disciple. And I'm ready to follow your instructions. And then in the very next verse, I think 2 verses after, what does Arjuna say? Anyone knows?
I will not fight.
Yeah. I will not fight.
Krishna,
I will not fight. Again, he knows. He says, now I understand you are God. I'm surrendering unto you. I'm dedicating my life. I'm your shishya. I'm your disciple. And then a few verses he says, no, I will not fight. So how often do we do that? How often do we do? Now I want to surrender to Krishna. Now I want to dedicate my life. This is what I want to do. I want to make my life perfect. I want to enjoy. See the difference. The difference between us and the karmis is that everyone in this world wants to enjoy. We just found out the secret. Or by Prabhupada's mercy, he gave us the secret to how to enjoy. We cannot enjoy separately from Krishna. There's a little, as we mentioned before, you can get a little sense gratification. It gives some kind of enjoyment, but it's very flickering. You can't keep it. It's chanchala. It's simply going constantly. But in Krishna consciousness, it is everlasting and is joyfully performed. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Rajya Vidya, Rajya Guya. It is very, very difficult to get to Krishna. It's a Rajya Vidya, it's the king of all knowledge, but it's also Rajya Guyam, it's the king of all confidentiality, it's a big secret. Rajya Vidya, Rajya Guyam, Pavitram idam uttamam, Prajaksa Bhagavam Damyam, Susukham Kartum, Avyayam. Devotional service is Avyayam, it's everlasting, and it's Susukham. Sukham means very enjoyable, but Susukham means very, very enjoyable. So we know this is really what I should do, but still, will I take the chance? Will I put everything on just one number? Will I put all my eggs in one basket? I'm willing to take that chance, or will I keep a little for myself? Right? Will I keep it safe? Prabhupada said, you're not Krishna. Krishna is not seeing so much what you're giving. Krishna is seeing what you're holding back. So how much is we holding back? How many hands does Krishna have? That's a trick question. In some places he has 2, right? In his most confidential form he has 2 hands, as Vishnu has 4 hands, but actually also it says he has thousands of hands. So if we keep something without 2 hands, how much can we hold? But Krishna allows us to hold back, because he will never interfere with our free will. And then the 3rd chapter, now Krishna just starts speaking. He's just saying, then you should perform karma yoga, Arjuna. We should just work, right? And then offer whatever you get from your work, you should offer to me. That's karma yoga. You should give the fruits of your activities. You should give them to me. And then Krishna, he explains that he's the yagyatat karma no nyatra lobayam karma bandhanam tadartham karma kanteya mukta samavajaya. That all sacrifices should be done as a sacrifice for Krishna. Otherwise what? It creates bondage. It binds us, as Prabhupada is saying in this verse we just read. So it binds us. Everything we are doing that is not directly for Krishna binds us to this material world. So what does it mean to be bound to this world? It means we have to come back again and again and again. Until we are no longer bound. That's what it means to be bound. Right? So we want to be free. And we have the contrary to everyone else practically in this world, we have the solution, we have the Rausch Dutch, we have the healing herb. Right? We have it. But are we ready to take it? Are we ready to dedicate? Or are we still doubting? Like Arjuna. But after Krishna explained in the 3rd chapter, he explained at the end, he explains about lust. Lust is the greatest enemy and leads to degradation of the soul. It's situated in the senses and the mind. So he explains this. Arjuna is asking, what does it make a man act sinfully, even against his will? Because Arjuna can see it. I know this. When you see Dronacharya, you see all these great warriors on the other side. His Dronacharya is Brahmana. Why is he on this battlefield? He's not a Kshatriya. Why is he on this battlefield? Why is people acting sinfully, even if they don't want to? You ever experienced this? You're doing something, you didn't really want to do it, but you do it. And something make you do it. Normally it's the mind. Practically always. So now Arjuna is becoming very attentive. And then in 4th chapter, Krishna starts speaking knowledge, transcendental knowledge. He says how to attain him. Janma karma chamidigam, evam yoviti tattva. Chaktara hampana janma naijamani shokam. One who knows my janma and my karma, my birth and my activities in truth, tattvata. In truth, he will never take birth again in this material world. So how easy is that? We just need to get to know Krishna. How do we get to know Krishna? This is a question. How do we get to know Krishna? This is Arjuna's problem also. He doesn't really know Krishna. He thinks he knows Krishna. So how do we get to this tattvata, to know Krishna in truth? Not just theoretical knowledge. Prabhupada said this is not for armchair philosophers. So how do we get to really get the real essence in tattvata, get to know Krishna? Yes?
By serving his pure devotees.
That's a very good recipe. That's serving his pure devotee. Krishna is very pleased when we serve him, but he's more pleased when we serve his devotees. Otherwise, it's by chanting sincerely, putting our heart into our chanting. How often do we, when we sit with our bead bag and the mind goes everywhere, all over the universe, right? Chanchalam, the mind is very, very flickering, and that's what Arjuna is saying in the 6th chapter. After Krishna explains it in the beginning of the yoga process, how important it is to control the mind. And he says, Tadvidi Pranipatina, that you should approach a spiritual master, Arjuna. He can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen it, he has seen the truth. Again, tattvata is here in this verse. So tattva, this is really what we are after. We are after the real truth, the real essence. Bhagavad-gita is the real essence of all the Vedic Shastras, all the Vedic scriptures. Bhagavad-gita is the essence of them. And it's the whole thing there in Bhagavad-gita, is that you're constantly fighting your mind, fighting your doubts. That is what Bhagavad-gita is teaching, practically from beginning to end. It's quite interesting. I never heard a lecture like explaining all these doubts from Arjuna, how he's getting more and more realizations. Because it's strange, because it's such a big part of Bhagavad-gita. This is really Arjuna's evolution, how he goes from practically doubting Krishna to full surrender in 18 chapters. So now Arjuna is just listening, but in 5th chapter he actually starts asking, what is the difference between Chaka and so now it's just clarifying Chaka and Sannyas. So now Arjuna is no longer butting in so much. Now he's just asking clarifying questions. He sees Krishna as his teacher, which he is. He just says, Shishya, I'm your disciple. So he sees, Krishna in the next chapter, he starts explaining the yoga process. It says, Arjuna, if you're not really ready for full surrender, you can just do asanas, you can just do pranayama, you can just do pratyahara. Right? You can follow the Ashtanga yoga process. But then it says, but of all the yogis, all the different kind of yogis, of all of them, the best one is the devotee. So Krishna is not really saying, you should do like this and you should do like this. He gives options, he gives possibilities we can do. And then he advises us because he loves us so much. Suridat Sarvabhutanam, he's the best well-wishing friend of all living entities. So because he loves us so much, he constantly tells us, but this is what is the most intelligent thing to do. Like if you're educating or you're raising children, you can't always tell me, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Bhakti vet. You can't do that. You need to make their own experiences, but you can tell them, if you crawl this tree, you have to be very careful because if you fall down from this side, you can get very much injured. Right? You can get hurt very much. 7th chapter, he starts speaking transcendental knowledge. And now Arjuna is just ears. Arjuna is sitting there on this. Where is Arjuna? Actually, this is important. He's sitting there on the battlefield. Right? It's just before the battle starts. And Arjuna says, I don't want to fight because all these people are my superiors and I love them. I should give them flowers, not arrows. So he's sitting there in the middle of a battlefield, and now Krishna has started speaking transcendental knowledge to Arjuna. Learning how to understand him. He says, I'm the source of all spiritual and material energies. Everything comes from me. 8th chapter he says what you should remember at the time of death. You should remember me, Krishna says at the end. 9th chapter he goes into transcendental knowledge. Raja Vidya Raja Gurim. This is the king of all knowledge I'm now giving you. And then it says, I will now give you everything, both material knowledge and spiritual knowledge side by side. So he just winds up the whole material energy in one verse. You can say two, one verse really. Bhumi apanarova yo kammano pudya evatya ankara iteyame bina prakriti ashtana. So what is this world made of? Important, right? This whole material world. In one sense you can say, I'm not interested in the material world, but as long as we are conditioned, we're in this world. We shouldn't be of this world. So Arjunas, Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. This is what everything is made of in this world. So he says that in one verse. So now he's taking rid of that, getting rid of that. And now he says, what is the nature of the soul? What is the duty of the soul? What is real dharma? Arjuna is just sitting there, wow, now I understand Krishna is God. And after Krishna in the 10th chapter, he started explaining his opulences, how everything comes from him, how he's Rashaham Asakondya, how he's the taste of water, he's the sound of the Vedas, he's all these things. Gives so many examples, how we can see him in nature. Arjuna is saying, now I understand. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I didn't understand before, but now I do. Param Brahma, Param Dharma, Pavitram Paramam Brahman, Purusa Sasvatam Divyam, Adityevam Atyam Vibhum. Now I understand Dharma. Now you are the highest Brahma. Brahma. Param Brahma, Param Dharma. You are the supreme abode. Purusam Sasvatam Divyam. You are the supreme original person. There's no one beyond you. Adidevam Adyam Vibhum. Adidevam, you are the gods of all the gods, because there's so many demigods. Now do you understand? You are the God of all of them. You are the origin of all of them. Vibhum, you are the greatest. Pavitram idam, you're the purest. Pavitram idam uttamam, you're the highest. Pradyakshavat, not different. Now I understand, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Arjuna does something very, very nice. He says, he quotes other living entities, he quotes Shastra. He says, all the Ahushtang Risaya Sarve, all the rishis are saying like this. Ahushtang Risaya Sarve. Devasi, and it gives even an example. Devasi Narada Muni. Narada Muni says you are the Supreme Lord. Deva Narada. He said, Ashita says you are the Supreme Personality of God. Vyasadeva, right off all the Vedas, you are the Supreme Personality of God. And now you yourself, Krishna, is declaring it to me, face to face. What a benediction. What a position to be in. Krishna is sitting, speaking directly to Arjuna. Would anyone here like to be in that position? Would that be nice? That's what he do. We have Bhagavad-gita. He speaks Bhagavad-gita. He's as present in this book. If we have the eyes to see. If we have the heart to see. If we want tattva. If we want the truth. But if we want Maya, that's what Krishna gives us. And then we cannot see it. Then Raja Vidyam, Raja Kuyam. Then even though it's the highest knowledge, the knowledge that can give us everything we want and much more we can ever believe we can achieve. Krishna wants to give that to us, but only if we want it. But if we don't, Raja Guyam becomes the biggest secret, confidentiality. So now Arjuna says, now I understand you're the Supreme Lord. Has he really? He just said, Param Brahma, you're the highest Brahman. Param Dharma, you're the supreme abode. Purusa Sasvatam Divyam, you're the supreme person. Adidevam, you're the highest of all the demigods. How can you get a higher realization than that? But Krishna, he tricks Arjuna in one sense, or starts something in Arjuna by saying all these things to him. And it says to Krishna in the beginning of 11th chapter, or the end of the 10th chapter, he says, I would very much like to see the form you have just told me. So he says how to see him in nature, Krishna explains. So Arjuna says, can I see that form? And he actually says in the beginning of that chapter, what is it? That now I understand you're the Supreme. Let's just hear that directly from Arjuna. You know that verse?
No.
No. So this is just after Krishna explained all these things in the 10th chapter where Arjuna is saying, now I understand. Okay, there. Someplace there. Then Arjuna said, I have heard your instructions on confidential spiritual matters, which you have so kindly delivered to me, and my illusion is now dispelled. So Arjuna think, at least, that his illusion is dispelled, right? He's saying, there's no more illusion. Now I understand, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know, I understand. But can you please show me that form you just told? And there Krishna says, yes, I can show you. But you cannot see with your present eyes. I need to give you divine eyes. So how can we see Krishna? We need divine eyes. We cannot see him with these watery bulbs we have here in the middle of our face. It's not really the way. Krishna says so many places in Bhagavad-gita, bhaktimam abhyanati, that only by bhakti can I be seen. Only by bhakti. So when Krishna is pleased, when Krishna is satisfied with our bhakti, with our devotion, then he reveals himself to us. We can't see him just by wanting to. So then he starts showing this universal form, and Arjuna is just standing there in awe as he sees all the universe, everything, Krishna's thousands and thousands of faces and beautiful garments with many, many eyes and many, many forms, and it's beautiful, but very awe-inspiring.
Thousands of conchs.
Yeah, thousands of conchs, right? And it's as beautiful as it falls in thousands of suns. It's actually, you should read 11th chapter. It's fantastic when you hear this. How beautiful it is. But then he shows him, after he shows this, Arjuna is offering prayers. Then he shows him the form of time, color, form of time. And it's very scary. And Arjuna is standing there and says, oh Krishna, what are you doing? All the demigods, everyone, all the soldiers, all the armies on both sides here are rushing into your flaming mouth. And some are being crushed between your teeth. So he sees destruction. And Arjuna is just standing there, oh Krishna. And then he said, now I understand, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone would. There's no more doubt after you see the universal form. And Arjuna starts offering beautiful prayers. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadayam tam am isham ityam. Piteva pratasya sakeva sakyuhu priya yahasi deva siddhum. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam. Now I lay down this body. Kayam. I lay down this body flat on the ground. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya. And pranamya, I offer obeisances to you. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam. Prasadaya tvang. I'm begging for your mercy from your prasadam. Right? Prasadam is more than... So I'm begging for your mercy, Krishna. Tasmat prasadam isham. You are the Supreme Lord. I understand. You are the Supreme Lord. Piteva pratasya. Like a father tolerates the impurities and annoyances of his son. Piteva pratasya sakeva sakyuhu. Or as a friend tolerates the inconveniences of a friend. Priya yahasi. Or a lover tolerates the inconveniences of a lover. Please tolerate all the wrongs I've done to you, Krishna. I didn't understand. We were lying on the same bed together. I was speaking to you just Krishna, not the Honorable Sri Krishna. I was actually saying, oh Yadava, thinking really that I was superior to you because I'm born in my brother's the emperor. Right? So I was actually thinking I was merciful towards you, Krishna. But now I understand. You're really the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So please forgive me for all the offenses I have made, taking your association for granted. After this, Krishna just speaks about devotional service, because now Arjuna is there. Right? So he just starts speaking about devotional service. But in one sense, no, because in the first chapter of 12th chapter, Arjuna is saying, what is best, the impersonal Brahman or the personal Brahman? What is best, the impersonal Brahman or the personal Brahman? How do we get best realizations? So what kind of question is this? Is Mayavadi better than devotional service? This is really what he's asking. So does he really know? Then how can he ask such a question? And Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, just say, no, Arjuna, personal realizations best. But in-person realization is also good for those who are conditioned, but they can never experience real joy and real realizations there. 13th chapter, Krishna just goes back explaining the whole material nature. Nature to joy and consciousness, right? How everything is working in this material world. To give Arjuna this knowledge. And 14th chapter is about speaking about the modes, how the modes are working in the material nature. Because if you see the rope behind everything, then you can see Krishna. Krishna explained this in the 14th chapter. That if you understand the modes of material nature, then you can also understand Krishna. Because it forces you to see what is really the circumstances to everything. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Sarva karma karanam. 15th chapter, he speaks about the banyan tree, about this material world, devotional service. 16th chapter, the demonic and the demonic natures and the divine natures. What is a demigod and what is a demon? What is a devotee? What is a demon? 17th chapter gives different divisions of faith, again according to the mode of material nature. And 18th chapter he explained the whole Bhagavad-gita again practically. He just summarizes everything he told him. And this is essential because now Arjuna will get 2 verses in which he will realize Krishna in full. So these 2 verses are extremely important. If you can follow just one of them, all lives are perfect. Sarva dharman prityaja, mam ekam saranam vraja, aham svam, you know this? Can I hear it?
Yeah, I can follow you.
Sarva dharman prityaja, mam ekam saranam vraja, aham tvam sarva bhavebhyo, moksha ishami mahashukja. Give up all other dharmas, Arjuna. Sarva dharman prityaja. Because Arjuna is saying, just before these verses, Arjuna is saying, Krishna, you told me so many things. You told me Karma Yoga in 3rd chapter and 5th chapter. You told me Ashtanga Yoga in 6th chapter. You told me so many things. You even told me something about the impersonal realizations. So you told me so many things, Krishna. Can you just tell me one thing? Can you sum up everything you told me? And it says that Krishna's heart just overwhelms with compassion to his friend Arjuna. And he says, okay, Arjuna. Now I'll tell you everything you need to know in 2 verses. So this is this one. Sarva dharma prityaja. Give up all other dharmas. You don't need about this yoga. You don't need karma yoga. You don't need all these things. You only need one thing. Mam ekam saranam vraja. Right? You just need one thing, and that's understanding Krishna. Understanding me, Krishna says, tatvada, in truth. Right? And he says, then he says how? Manmana bhava matbhakto. You should constantly have me on your mind. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the same thing when he says Kirtan Yasarahari. Constantly chant Hare Krishna. Manmana bhava mat bhakto, and you should become my devotee. Mat yati mam namaskuru. You should offer obeisances to me and worship me. Mam namaskuru. Mam evasyasi satyam te. If you do this, satyam te, then you're priya, then you're very, very dear to me. Manmana bhava mat bhakto mat yati mam namaskuru. Mam evasyasi satyam te pratijani priyosini. Then you're very, very dear to me. If you can follow that. That's when Arjuna is speaking this verse we're hearing today. Anyone can remember what he said? What is the first 2 words? Nastu moha.
Smriti lamya.
Nastu moha. Now there's no more illusion. Now Arjuna is realized. Now it's understood. How many times have you read Bhagavad-gita? I still don't understand. I've been reading this book for many times, at least, right? While we were living in the temple, I was reading it every day, for many years. Still haven't understood it. Why? Why? How can we be so dull-headed? So it says, Nastu moha, now there's no more illusion, Krishna. Nastu moha, you've removed my illusion. Nastu moha, smritir labdva. And by your mercy, Tratpasadam, by your mercy, I regained my memory. I regained my memory. We forgot. We forgot who we are. Anyone here knows who they are? We don't know. We're just identifying with this lump of metal. Who are we really? Do we know who we are? No. Nasta moha smritirata tat prasadam maestuta. Oh, by your mercy, Krishna. Achyuta. Stitu asmi. Now I'm firmly situated. Ganda sandeha. And there's no more doubts. Very important. Karishe vachamam tava. Now I'm ready to follow your instructions. That's when the war starts. Well, Sanjay is just saying, we don't simply trust him. His hairs are standing on end because hearing this wondrous, fantastic dialogue between these two personalities. So how can we apply this in our lives? How can we get that desire to really understand Krishna? Best way is really to study every day. Study deep in the Bhagavad-gita, study deep in Bhagavatam, study Shastras. Because again, it's Krishna giving it. It's Krishna saying, you cannot overcome my illusory energy, you cannot overwin it. But one who surrenders unto me, one who follows my procedures, can easily overcome it. That's why Prabhupada emphasized to read minimum 1 hour a day. Learn this book, understand, be with Krishna. Like Arjuna, he's sitting there on the battlefield. He just said before, I would like that position. We have this possibility. We can just open this book and be with Krishna if we want to. We can also open this book and be with Maya if we want to. But if we want to, if the desire is there, and try this out. Try if you really like chant good rounds one morning and then sit with Bhagavad-gita with a real desire. Pray first to Krishna. Krishna, please give me the intelligence. Please give me the surrender to fully understand what I'm now trying to study. And see the difference. And if you do that every day, you chant to the best ability, Krishna promises, Prabhupada promises, all the acharyas promises, and go back home, back to Godhead. Janma karma chamitivyam, even yogiti tattvadam. Satvadhyam panat janma, naitamamiti swarjana. One who knows my janma and karma, never take birth again. Goes back home, back to Godhead. So how is that? We're the only people, practically in Denmark, and a few others, who has this knowledge. So our duty is to give it to others. Tell people, this is what you can use your life for and make it perfect. Prabhupada often ended his lectures like that. No, take this to life, take this to heart and make your life sublime. So thank you very much for your attention. Any comments or questions?
Thank you too.
Thank you. Are you read Bhagavad-gita, guys?
Reading it the second time now.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's okay, then we can have a little more kirtan and then guess there's some prasadam also. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gita as it is ki jai. Look at this book. Isn't this a beautiful book? Right? There, Krishna's is Arjuna's charioteer driver. Right? He's driving Arjuna's chariot. So he wants to drive our chariot also, but we have to let go of the reins and give them to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.